What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, episode 4 of Unpopular Opinions on this international break. We've got Bryan Daigle once again, and the first tweet that we're going to look at is from Tottenham Hotspur, and he says, Skip and Hill are shit.
I don't. Do you know what? I don't think there's been a time where I've ever spoken about Ollie Skip so much. I think that's very, very harsh. I mean, Bryan Hill, I just don't know. I think there's something there, and I think
100%.
when we talk about players, when we think about players that can get the best out of a manager, can get the best out of a player, I think Ange is made for Hill, or Hill is made for Ange, whatever way you want to look at it. Ollie Skip ain't shit. Ollie Skip just ain't good enough for Tottenham, in my opinion, right now, and he needs to move on to progress his own first team football and impress his own career. They're not shit. Yeah. They're not shit, though.
No, I can't 100% agree with you. I think there is 100% a player in Bryan Hill Messi, 100%. And I think that he can definitely suit what Ange wants to do as well. And I always find it strange with Bryan Hill. He's always the last thought at this football club, like always goes on loans at the last second of the transfer window. And even on his last loan, he showed, he was vital to Sevilla getting to that Europa League final and winning it. And before he went out on that loan, he was just starting to get to grips with life at Tottenham. You know, he had a great performance at Crystal Palace, and a few other games as well. So I rate Bryan Hill massively, and I really want to see him kick on now at Tottenham. Ollie Skip, I mean, he's not shit. He's definitely not shit. He's a good footballer. And I think he can be a leading player at a Premier League team. I'm just not sure if that team is in the top 6.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add to now one more thing with Bryan Hill. And I hear all the time people talk about he needs to get to the gym, he needs to beef up, he needs
bullshit.
And that, yeah, well, this is the thing. That may be the case. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, I'm not comparing Bryan Hill to the player I'm about to mention at all. So don't get this twisted. But Luka Modric wasn't exactly the biggest, toughest
How can
player.
you compare Bryan Hill to Luka Modric?
This is my caveat beforehand. Listen. I know you're just doing it. But he was playing in central midfield, which is arguably, Modric is levels upon levels upon levels upon levels. But it just goes to show you can play these players in certain positions that you think they may need to be stocky or built bigger and can perform. So I think Bryan Hill, yes, I would like to see him a little bit more physically powerful and everything, but I don't buy that. That's the one that everyone chucks at him. He needs to get to the gym. He needs this. I don't think he does.
I agree.
To become a good player.
I can't agree more. And I've been saying this for so long that Bryan Hill is a great player in his own right, and he doesn't need to bulk up any more than he has done already. And I remember a game under Nuno, we played Wolves in the League Cup in the second round or the third round, whatever it may be. And Bryan Hill was unbelievable that day, and he stood up to Adama Traore physically throughout the whole game with sliding tackles, the amount of times he took the ball off him. And you're talking about one of the most physical players in the Premier League in Adama Traore. I mean, I know he's like probably triple the size of Bryan Hill, but that just proves that Bryan Hill doesn't need to bulk up physically. It just proves it, in my opinion.
Completely agree.
Next up, we've got a tweet from Frumpy Zombie, and he says, despite the negative agenda on him, Jose would have won us a trophy, the Premier League or the Europa League, if he had been backed. Remember, he had to play Dyer and Sanchez instead of Van de Ven and Romero.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this. I mean, I don't know if it would be in the Premier League or the Europa League. I certainly think we could have had a chance at the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, but he got sacked before he could actually take us to that game. I've said it many, many a time. When you hire Jose Mourinho, you know what you're getting. Yeah. And Daniel Levy would have seen at very, very close quarters around Europe and domestically. But this guy comes in, spends lots of money, gets the win now players, wins now, turns it toxic and leaves. And we brought him in without giving him the money.
Or we just got the toxicity. That's all we got.
Exactly. It's basically like saying, bring Stevie Wonder in to read the matchday program. Well, seriously, I mean, what, it's pointless. If you're not going to give Jose needs these tools to succeed, and wherever he goes, he proves, give me these tools, you will succeed.
Yeah.
And then he comes to Tottenham and goes, right, make this lot succeed, but you're not going to get any tools.
You know what I mean? He got Matt Doherty at right back. He got Joe Rodon at centre back, and he's defence first manager, and you expect him to go win trophies with those kind of signings. It's just never going to happen. Next one is from Sonny winning the UCL. Nice to handle that. Saying Sarr isn't as impressive as people are saying. He's just all right.
Sarr,
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I can't.
He's 20 years old, people. What are you on about? Sarr's unbelievable.
What I'll highlight with this as well, and I'm going to highlight something that will show the kind of difference. Well, against Brentford, people were saying that Emerson Royal had a really, really bad game against Brentford on the first day of the season, and he was out of position, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't out of position. What was meant to be happening in that game is when he progressed, Ollie Skip was going to cover that area. So should we be a man down, he's in position. Didn't get it. Pape Matar does that in abundance. If Porro is going forward, he's there. He's got that awareness. And what you got to look at with Pape Matar is with this midfield trilogy that we have now, this trio, they all complement each other beautifully. They all have their attributes that they bring to this team, and the engine on Pape Matar and the work rate that he does to I mean, it's more, do you know what? I think he's more impressive off the ball than he is on the ball, but you don't get to see what he is doing. I honestly think if Pape Matar isn't in that midfield and it's Ollie Skip, we're not sitting top of the league. We're not undefeated. We're not, and I'm not just saying it's because of him, it's because of what those three bring together.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. I think that's a brilliant assessment of it. And people need to remember, like, this guy is 20 years old, like 20 years old, and he's like made this spot in our midfield his complete own. And it's just like he does, you know, when Luka Modric, we'll go back to the Luka Modric thing, but do you remember when Luka Modric first broke into the team when Redknapp first put him in centre mid? I heard a lot of Spurs fans being like, he's good, but no one realised how good he was because a lot of the stuff that he did went unnoticed. And I feel like maybe Sarr is obviously not as good as Modric was when he first broke into the team, but a lot of the good work that he does go unnoticed. And it's similar with Michael Carrick as well.
Well, do you know what? I saw this a lot as well. Well, let's just take the Luton game. At the Luton game, I heard a lot of people saying Sarr kept giving the ball away. He kept doing this too much. Because that's what you're seeing. Because he's on the ball and whatever. And what you got to remember as well now, with Ange, we want to play attacking front foot football. And you're going to give the ball away. Rather than just going backwards, sideways, pass it, and go nowhere, we're trying to be adventurous. We're trying to do things to get the ball forward as quickly as possible. And sometimes those errors are going to, obviously, the passes won't go out. But if you watch, the first person, once he's given the ball away, to get to the player that's given the ball away, is Pape Matar.
Every time.
And every time it's off the ball. He's doing so much work, and like I said, this is just after 8 games.
Yeah,
he's levels above Skip.
Yeah, facts, absolute facts. But let's move on. Royce Francis says, if we're still in the title picture, Spurs should lose the first round of the FA Cup so we can focus only on league games. It gives us our best chance of doing something special this season.
Nope. I want the FA Cup so badly, and listen,
more than the league,
mate. Listen. What? I'll ask you now seriously. Even if we are within a title race, what do you think is more likely for us to win, the FA Cup or the league?
FA Cup.
I want a trophy. I want a trophy. Would I say ones if we go out the league and FA Cup but don't win the league?
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make, because I'm kind of siding with you on this one. I think that because we're not in Europe, because we're not in the Carabao Cup, even being in the FA Cup is still only one game a week, albeit I think one of the games is midweek. I think the 5th round.
Yep.
But apart from that, it's still only going to be one game a week. So I don't see a reason why we should purposely lose our first game in the FA Cup just because we're, in a title race in January. I mean, there's still such a long way to go. It still only gives us one game a week. Why can't we fight on two fronts?
Exactly. And also, if you look at it, we are on a winning run right now, an undefeated run in the league. Yes, we had that bad. If we're really in a really good rich reign of form, do we want to risk just throwing a game or not playing a full team, get that, lose it, and then go, right, now it's the league. I think with a team that's been starved of trophies for 16 years, you want to win a trophy. You want, for me, then, I know the FA Cup has lost its magic over recent years or over the past. The FA Cup is still the magical trophy it was for me back growing up, and I want the FA Cup badly, really badly. And if we have a chance to get it, take it.
Next up, Davey Spurs says, Spurs are better now because we're not reliant on Kane. Everyone has stepped up.
This is a common theme. It's to me, it's that's what it has done. It's we used to think, like we said, Harry Kane will get us a goal. Harry Kane. If you asked anyone over the last few years who's getting a goal for you, everyone would say Son and Kane, or Kane.
Now they just say Son.
Yeah, you got Madden, you got players chipping in, haven't you? You got Van der Ven. Let's face it, Maddison's chipped in. People have been chipping in. There's more.
Romero.
Yeah, there you go. Romero's got to bloody hell. Our centre backs on fire. Goal scoring wise, but yeah, I think you've seen this when a big player leaves, and he is the biggest of the big for us. More people need to step up with what's been lacking, which is the goal contribution. And it most certainly has happened.
I don't think they've stepped up because Harry Kane has left. I think they've stepped up because of what Ange Postecoglou is doing on the training ground. I think if Harry Kane was still here, I don't think we would have been as reliant on Harry Kane under Ange than we would have done under Conte and Mourinho. That's just the way Conte and Mourinho set up. They set up to play through our best attacking player, which was Harry Kane. Where Postecoglou, I still think if Harry Kane is there now, I still think the goals are shared around. I don't think that we would be over-reliant on him like we were over the past couple of seasons. So I don't agree with this, to be honest. I think everyone has stepped up, which is true, but I don't think they've stepped up because Harry Kane has left.
I'll tell you one thing, I've come across as a Harry Kane hater in these unpopular opinions, which I'm not. I just think it's going to show what's happened since he's gone compared to what was happening when he was there. Not saying
it's a different kettle of fish, though. Like, you can't compare Ange and Conte. Like, like I said before, the players haven't stepped up because Harry Kane has left. The players have stepped up because of the system that Ange Postecoglou has implemented. And if Harry Kane was here because of the system, like, the goals would still be shared around. We would just be getting more of them because Harry Kane would be in the team.
I think I can get on board with that part. I think you've explained it a little bit clearer than I was, but I can see where Davey's coming from.
All right, let's go on to the Smasher. And he says, like I said a month ago, we are winning the league.
It's so good to have this kind of talk and whatever. I'd love to say I agree with him. I would love nothing more. I just can't see it. You look at Man City, yes, they've had a couple of defeats now, but they weren't the best in the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, they know how to get the job done. They just go up levels. You look at, I think Liverpool will be up there. Unfortunately, the filth maybe. I think within the second or third year of Ange, if he's allowed to do what he does, then yeah, I think we will genuinely be talking about things like this. I just think this season's just too soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when you're looking at the thin squad, I mean, I think it's impossible for us to do the unthinkable this season. But I do think if we keep growing in the way that we're growing, I agree with you, next year could be a big year for Tottenham Hotspur. Next up is from Kasui saying Bryan Hill is better than Johnson, Solomon and Richarlison and should be starting as our left winger.
Oh, do you know? So who are the players he's mentioned? Better than Johnson,
Solomon and Rishi.
Okay. Johnson, I actually think is going to be better on the right, but that's obviously Kulusevski's position. I wouldn't mind seeing Kulusevski on the left. But let's get back to the question. Johnson, I think, will turn out to be very important in Ange's system. Solomon, debatable. Richie, yes. I think he's more important than Richie right now.
I think Bryan Hill will be better than Solomon for us, will be better than Rishi, but I'm just not sure about the Johnson one. That's the one I'm not sure about. So let's say he's 75% of the way right.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And you also look at it, who's to say if Kulusevski's injured, it won't be Johnson and Hill?
I'd like to see that, to be fair. I think that would be quite a good dynamic.
Very good.
Next one is from Jordan Austin saying, one of the most important players is Kulusevski for the amount of work rate he does.
Do you know what? I will, as you know, Ben, I've come on the channel on quite a few games during the season, said he's too predictable, he's this, he's that, he's over the last 3-4 games, I think he's been incredible. Again, like what we were talking with Pape Matar, his work rate is like, when you see it live and you see the ground he's covering, let alone what you see on TV, and it showed against Luton. Against Luton, especially when we went down to 10, his hold-up play, his work rate, his movement and carrying the ball is second to none. Do you know what? I think with Ange, he's given him a different kind of role to play. With Conte, it was like, right, get forward and help Son and Kane with the goal.
Not only just get forward, but get back as well.
Yeah, but now he's everywhere. He's everywhere. Yes, we wanted him to cross a bit earlier. Yes, we want to see more goals. But I think Postecoglou has actually got him playing maybe in a different way. And I think he has been very, very underrated recently.
I agree with that. I would agree with him being one of our most important players. I think the job that he does for the team in terms of being the kind of water carrier, the ball carrier, which he's second to none at, the non-stop running that he does, the stamina that he has, I just think he does such a good job for the team. I would just like to see him up his assist levels at the moment, because I feel like he gets into really good positions sometimes, but then his final ball lets him down sometimes. But everything up to that moment, I think he does really well.
I completely agree with everything you just said.
Craig 84 says, after losing Kane, Spurs winning the league would be the more impressive than when Leicester did it.
But you know what? It would just be, I think so many Spurs fans have said this, how ironic would it be that he goes off to win trophies and the year he goes, we win a trophy. Whether it be the League Cup, which it can't be now, the FA Cup, but I think he's right. I think he's right. If you look at it, the tasks we were in, you can't knock what Leicester did. Let's get that right. You can't knock Leicester almost relegated, then win the league. But for us to turn it around like that would be monstrous from us, wouldn't it?
I disagree. I think you can't go from a relegation candidate, someone who's never been up there in the Premier League, they're in the Championship 2 years before that, to go and win the league. I think it's a completely different kettle of fish for a team who would finish 8th, lose their talisman, and then go on and win the league. I think the Leicester achievement is never going to be matched again, ever.
Well, when you put it that way and you hit me with blind, obviously, logic, I'll change my statement and go for what you said. So, yeah.
Come on! Next one is Quandale saying, our team would be best with Lo Celso in Maddison's position and Maddison at left wing because our current left wingers are not up to standard.
No, not having it.
Is this Gareth Southgate, by the way? Is this Gareth Southgate tweeting? Don't know, maybe. Southgate's burner account.
Yeah, when we've got, like we've said in this, the best player in the Premier League on current form and what we think this season, you don't take him out of the position he's thriving in. to try. I don't. I think as good as Lo Celso may become, and as good as he looked in the pre-season, he does not offer us what James Maddison offers us. And then isolating Maddison out on the left is just going to be, if you look at it as well, his assist against Luton was the right. He's doing a lot from the right as opposed
Arsenal
to the
was
left.
the left though, wasn't it?
Arsenal was the left. Yeah, but that's when he it wasn't both. If you look at it, yeah, I'm just flicking. But yeah, I just don't think the left wing is made for him, and that's one of the things I don't like. So when you got a player in a rich vein of form in one position, don't not move him to accommodate another.
Yeah. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Astian says Porro can replace Basuma or Sarr while they're at the AFCON with Emerson going into right back. Think Porro can do a job at centre mid?
Well, I don't think it's a position he's ever played or held, and would you risk it? Who knows? You never know. I mean, I'm sure Andrew's thinking along ahead already and thinking about what do I do for that. It could be something you could try in training. It could be something you could try. I just don't see it though. I just don't see it. And again, we're going. Sorry, Ben. Just very quick. We're going to this exactly how we left the last one. If a player is playing really well in one position, do not move him to accommodate another or replace another.
Would you not rather see Emerson play that centre mid role and put Porro out on the right and keep Porro on the right?
Great idea. So what, that because he can play centre defence. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Like
that makes more
put
sense.
Emerson in the number 6, albeit I'd prefer to see maybe Højbjerg there, but or Bentancur. But if it is between the two and one has to go in centre mid and one has to go right back, I think I'd prefer to see Emerson as the 6 and then keep Porro at right back.
Spot on.
Gary GP says we still haven't seen peak Angeball yet. I think that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yep, and you know what? If this isn't peak and we know we're near peak, my God, are we in for a good time? My God, are we in for a good time? Yeah, but nothing's peak after 8 games. But like I said, it's like if you haven't eaten like we haven't for 3 years good football, and then you see a crumb, it's going to look like It's going to look like an absolute buffet of all the food you ever wanted to eat in your world. And that's where we are right now, just enjoying this incredible product of football. And like you said, we haven't even reached peak yet.
Absolutely. Next one is from Huddlekeen saying, sell Heung-min Son. Do we even need to respond to this one? Because I don't think we do, to be honest.
That was kind of like the Dyer one that we had a couple of episodes ago about playing in yeah, that's no.
What world are you living on? Sell Heung-min Son. What is this? He's literally, we're just talking about him being the best captain in our lifetimes for Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. The most clinical finisher in the league right now. More clinical than Erling Haaland when you're talking about chances to goals.
Yep.
This is one of the worst takes I've ever seen. One of the worst.
There we go.
Paul Griffiths says, if the criteria for judging football greatness was the quality of a player's top 10 goals, Son would be considered the greatest footballer of them all. Now that is one I can get behind.
Are we talking about just for Tottenham, or are we talking about in? Because
I don't think it matters because all his great goals has been in the Tottenham shirt.
Yeah, that's true. He has scored some crackers, hasn't he? He has scored some absolute crackers.
Yeah. Has anyone got a repertoire of goals then better repertoire of all his top 10, 20 goals than Heung-min Son? Anyone? Because the kind of levels of the goals, not only does he score those bangers where he kind of curls them into the top corner, but remember that one against Chelsea where he took it past their whole team. That one against Burnley when he took it past their whole team, The one against, the curling ones against Arsenal at the Emirates a few years back. You know what I mean? He's got such a different variety of goals. So I completely agree with this.
I think, obviously, when you mention that person, you can say Messi. Obviously, you can always say Messi because Messi has done all of that. He certainly would be a well, put it this way, they're saying you would be a legend if it was based on that. And I think you can't disagree.
Yeah, I think Messi and Ronaldo aside, I think we would agree.
Yeah, completely agreed.
The Joracle says Tottenham have the best starting 11 in the league.
But I think you've got to look at Man City as the only like when they're first 11, when De Bruyne's back, when Rodri's back from suspension.
Arsenal, Liverpool.
So what, if I look at it, I'm not just saying this because it's Tottenham and the film. Yes, they've got players that have got better Premiership experience. Yes, they've got. I think if you look at Saliba and Gabriel, Saliba is outstanding. Saliba is magnificent. There's no getting away from it. But as a partnership, I'd rather Van der Ven and Romero. The midfield three, as much as Odegaard has done well and Rice will do, then you look at the three of ours that we've spoken about that all complement each other.
They do have Partey in there as well.
Yeah, the least said about him, the better.
True.
I think. Well, put it this way: we're definitely in the top three of starting lineups if everyone's fit.
The only caveat I'd put on that is that it has only been 8 games, so I don't want to kind of run before we can walk. So I want to see it
this season only.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're looking at this season only, it's hard to disagree. We are top of the league, but I want to see it over a longer stretch of time.
Yeah. Let's put it this way: the foundations have been built. Now we just got to build on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus Good says, we're title contenders, but only on the basis that we avoid major injuries to key players. But as a starting 11, we can compete. I mean, we did cover one very similar to this in previous unpopular opinions. So I'll just say that that it's absolutely spot on, because I think that if we don't get any major injuries into key positions, then I don't see a reason why we can't fight.
The only reason, if we don't get major injuries, which again is going to be a massive slice of luck, is if we don't get key suspensions at vital times. That's the only thing that could hold it.
All right. Well, that brings an end to episode number 4. We've got one more episode coming your way, which is going to be episode 5. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.